Steve, you've got so many jobs, I don't even want to enumerate them. Can you help me here? Tell me.
Well, 30 years, I've done a lot in boxing. Right now, I work as a TV analyst for Showtime, for the Showbox series, and a couple of other TV jobs. And I write for Boxing Monthly, and I do some writing for Showtime. And that's pretty much it right now.
You box yourself as exercise?
With this nose, I don't think it would be a good idea. I did box when I was younger a few times. I got into the ring enough to know that I wasn't very good at it, and that if you're not really a boxer, it can hurt. You know.
Yeah, no.
So
Ring Magazine, they kind of hold themselves up as the conscience of the sport, but they're not a sanctioner. So it's kind of a very protected position. Do you think it's really fair that they judge the alphabets the way they do?
well, I think in a perfect world, I mean, Ring Magazine created ratings in boxing in the mid-20s. And what's interesting is that the first set of ratings in the Ring Magazine were actually put out by Tex Rickard, who was the power promoter of the day.
Wow.
So imagine Don King or Bob Arum putting out ratings, everybody would go, oh my God. But Ring started ratings, and is it the best system that they have, constantly criticizing the alphabets and doing their own ratings? In a sense, yes. In a sense, no, because for one thing, there's not enough input from enough people, I think. Now they have a ratings advisory board, of which I'm a member of, and I guess more people are apt to contribute to the ratings. But basically, the ratings are put together by a staff of 2.
You're saying a staff of 2 puts out all these ratings, and
Right.
for instance, the WBC, there's a committee of about 20 people
Right.
from all different parts of the world, and they'll sit there for 3 days literally nitpicking, despite
Right.
what people might think.
Right.
They're very serious about their approach to it. So I don't see how a staff of 2 could really objectify the ratings. So
Well, it's a fair argument. I think the difference, though, is that the Ring, being a commercial entity, but nonetheless independent, and there's problems with the commercial entity also, but the Ring is fully objective, where I feel all the alphabet organizations create a set of ratings that serve them. And what I mean by that is, if you're the champion of the WBA, you don't appear in the IBF or WBC ratings.
Correct.
If you're a mandatory challenger in the WBA, you're not going to be rated. Even though you're maybe one of the top 5 featherweights in the world, you're not rated in the other organizations. So the ratings of the organizations, I feel, are primarily compiled to serve not necessarily an objective boxing audience, but the organization itself.
I agree. I think it's important to me that I establish the fact that we're all establishment. You know, a lot of times people, magazines, whatever, they come out and say, they categorize the sanctioning body, but they themselves are earning money from it too. So there's very rarely a completely objective voice in any of the sports businesses.
That's fair. And another point, I think, in defense of in some way, a defense of the alphabets, is that a lot of the people want the WBA, WBC, IBF, and every other organization blown to bits, but you have to have, because it's an individual sport, fans require, the business side of it requires that there's a champion, that there's a #1 contender, because we all can go back to the time when Archie Moore was the #1 light heavyweight contender for 10 years and didn't get a title fight because A, he was black, and B, he didn't sell.
Right.
We don't want that anymore. So the idea of a mandatory challenger is a good idea. Oh boy, that's not hard to answer. I would say the worst decision ever was Pernell Whitaker, Julio Cesar Chavez. I was at the fight. It was at the Alamo Dome. Pernell Whitaker beat Chavez from here to tomorrow, every round, outboxed him. By any method, he beat him. The fight was judged a draw. That would be #1. My second most egregious bad decision would probably be Evander Holyfield, Lennox Lewis at Madison Square Garden, the unification fight, also judged a draw. Lewis won that fight from here to tomorrow. I am very, very conscious of the fact that scoring fights is very subjective. A lot of people don't want to acknowledge that fact. So if you give me a fight where Jill sees it one way and Steve sees it the other, I'm not going to come down on you and say you're blind or you don't know what you're talking about. It's too subjective. The points of scoring are very subjective. So I will go out of my way to be fair to judges, but every once in a while you get one that is so bad that it sticks out.
So do you like the 4 and 8 open calling or not?
Oh, I totally despise open scoring for a number of reasons. One, a very simple one, is that to me, one of the things that separates boxing from other sports is that moment after a 12-round championship fight where the ring announcer takes the microphone. You knew it's a close fight, and he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, we have a split decision," and you're waiting to find out who won. To me, that is such drama. I guess I'd like to see Floyd Mayweather and Miguel Cotto. That would be excellent, especially if Cotto beats Shane Mosley. You know, a lot of people complain about the fact that the best don't fight the best. I feel that in boxing, especially lately, we've had good matchups. I think the best have fought the best. I mean, Barrera and Morales have fought each other. Kessler's fighting Calzaghe. Aren't that many matchups that I'm really dying to see that haven't happened.
Okay, Kessler, Calzaghe, what do you think?
Great matchup. Clearly the best two fighters in their divisions, both undefeated with outstanding records. I lean toward Kessler because I'm stubborn. I picked against Calzaghe when he fought Lacey. I looked like an idiot after that. I'll probably look like an idiot after this one, but Kessler is really good. And I've never been a huge Joe Calzaghe fan. I just feel that he beat Lacey, his biggest win. Jeff Lacey wasn't a complete fighter. Kessler has all the tools, a little bit younger, and he's hungrier than Calzaghe. He's got to be hungry because this is his defining fight.
Pavlik Taylor.
Great matchup. No more excuses for Jermaine Taylor. This is it. He has to win. He has to look good. It's his last fight in middleweight. Kelly Pavlik is slower. He should play directly into Jermaine Taylor's hands. Jermaine is faster, has a good jab. He'll be able to use it. He's not fighting southpaw for a change. So I feel that if Jermaine doesn't look good this time, then we were just wrong about him, and he's not a special fighter. But I think he's going to look good, and I think he'll win convincingly.
Moskaev and Peters.
Moskaev-St. Peter is an interesting fight because, first of all, it's a heavyweight title fight with two non-Americans. St. Peter is a budding star. It's going to be a rare case in a heavyweight title fight where the challenger is a prohibitive favorite. And I think Peter will knock Moskaev out.
You list your hobbies: going to fights, watching fights, writing about fights, analyzing fights, reading about fights. So the obvious question is, do you fight with your wife, or does she accept this?
Well, you know, that's a little bit of an exaggeration. I did that for effect. I actually believe in balance in life. And living in New York City, I have a lot of interests. And unfortunately, boxing, you know, it doesn't have a season. I'm as likely to be working at, 8 o'clock on a Friday night as I am at 2 in the afternoon on a weekday. That's just the nature of it. But no, my wife is understanding. She's a school teacher. And doesn't love boxing, but understands enough of the business at this point after all these years, so she's very forgiving. But after so many years of being in this business, I kind of don't look at it as a job anymore. It's just part of my life.
Do you still get a rush when the camera goes on? I mean, or is it all old hat to you at this point?
Oh, no. I that's the best part of it to me, is that even doing this as many years as I have, whether I'm at a big fight, I don't have to be on TV if I'm just in the press section. I mean, when I'm at Peter Moskaev in the Garden, Madison Square Garden Heavyweight Championship, I'm going to be pumped up. I'm pumped up now talking about it. Yeah. I mean, the punch benefit is the proudest accomplishment of my life.
Raised a lot of money.
Raised $50,000, but I did it myself. And, like a lot of New Yorkers, I felt very helpless in the immediate aftermath of 9/11. And my wife teaches at a high school 4 blocks from there, and I was worried for her, and fortunately I heard from her. But it was a life-altering experience, and I said, boxing community should band together and do something about it. And I was able to call a bunch of old New York fighters, and all big names, all former champions, and every one of them, without question, said, "What do you need? I'll do it." And what I asked them to do was get in the ring and fight, and they did it, including Carlos Ortiz and Emil Griffith and Jose Torres, who were all in their mid-60s. And they put on the trunks and boxed, and play boxed. And Bobby Ches and Mustafa Hamsho and Breland and everybody else, and they were great.
I often find that in the boxing community.
Mm-hmm. Well, doing what you do, you will see that.
It's amazing. No one ever says no to a good cause.
Right.
One last question. Mm-hmm. You can fix boxing. Fix it.
Well, I think boxing's at a critical juncture right now. There's more competition for the entertainment dollar than there's been. There's MMA, which a lot of 25-year-olds really like, and it hurts me because I'd love to see those 25-year-olds at boxing matches. So I think boxing needs a serious boost. If I could fix it, the first thing I would do is I would create a 22-year-old American heavyweight who can punch.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate
My
your
pleasure.
time. Thanks.
Thanks.